All right. Yesterday, I replied to comments with an audio recording, and I made an organizational error. I bunched together comments of people I don't know on Nextdoor with someone I do know who is trolling me, and with the intent to hurt. In other words, they just weren't fun like comments, like the Nextdoor comments. The words are not. There's no F word, there's no asshole, there's no, so they don't sound very vicious. But if you know the person, you know what she's trying to do, then it is that. So now I'm going to better organize. The light, Nextdoor comments first, and not all of them are light, by the way, but they're not in any way cruel. So Chris Taylor writes, it's I, not I, commenting on the way I write the word I, referring to myself, but I use I, referring to what we see with. I is how you see. So Chris wrote that, but then the way I misorganized, he ended up thinking I was declaring his comment was cruel. So Chris, your comment is absolutely fine. No cruelty detected. Then Olga goes next. I didn't include her in the first set just because of an oversight. But I wrote about an alcoholic friend, and he's now an old friend. We've severed in my hometown of Cleveland, and I didn't realize it, but because of our friendship, I was obligated to look him up when I went to Cleveland, and then I was not only that, I was obligated to drink with him, but not only that, I was obligated to get drunk. I was tired of it. Binge drinking is part of my past, but it's not part of my present. I have no intention of being part of my future. So Olga writes, I had a friend like that and let go of him. Guess where he is right now? Dead. Alcohol killed him. Well, my old friend is still living. So Melinda Hernandez puts two emojis. One I can't really identify, but one is the vomit emoji, and it's attached to a Trump post. So I trust that vomit emoji is attached to Trump's victory in the election of November. I posted about a room that was available. LJ Brown writes, I'm super interested. My name is, I can't read it given I can. Name is Viviana Brown, and she puts her phone number, a 646 area code. Gianni Ciervo, hi, interested. Hanna Lashenko, interested. And then a realtor, Joseph, writes, he later calls himself Joe, Joseph Inero. And Joseph writes, hi, just want to introduce myself. He puts his phone number here and basically makes a commercial announcement, knowing that he's got the right audience here with Nextdoor. It's about real estate, and it is local, and Joseph was astute enough to know that. So his phone number is there. Helen Murphy writes, we're on Social Security and housing. We'll lose out in Trump's office. But I had already read that on an earlier one. Vivian Gianfredi writes, I doubt it. And then Chris Taylor writes, I is not what you see. Okay, I got to go back to Chris's comments, then I'm going to make a better organizational break. So Chris writes, I'm not sure why you'd think this was cruel. So absolutely sure, Chris, there is nothing wrong with this comment. I've gotten it hundreds of times. I think if you listened to it again, you would detect my organization is not as bad as I'm declaring it is right now. But now is part two. Part two is the person I know from Facebook. I'm done with strangers on Nextdoor. I could call them neighbors, but I don't know these people. And Chris, you don't know me other than Nextdoor. So now I'm switching to someone I do know who's behind a pseudonym, cleverly trying to disguise her identity, but she's done a terrible job and written insulting things. So those are as follows. This is part B, Chris. This is the part I was referring to as cruel, intended to hurt. You live in New Jersey, not NYC. Why are you lying on your profile? That was directed at my wife. Tom is fantastic. We bailed him out of jail in 2010. So great how you forgot. And never paid child support for his kid. I actually, at that time, had 3. I was paying child support on 3 kids. She wrote kid as singular. I now have 2 because one of them died. And never paid child support for his kid. Spent it on you. Again, venomous comments directed at my wife, written by Suzanne behind a pseudonym. Then that's the name she gave herself, Geiry. She's Suzanne Geary. And then same comment, but a different placing. But your wife claims, now she's writing to me, but your wife claims NYC residence, liar, on her public profile with a laughing face. Again, I don't know why it's funny. This woman lacks a sense of humor. And then this is a public comment. The ones I read before were on Facebook Messenger, first to my wife, then to me. This is a public comment. So Hannah lives in NYC. You guys live in crappy New Jersey. NJ and commute and pretend to be New Yorkers, which is why you have never been, which is where you have never been. Commuters don't count and get a residency. I'm going to try this better. There's a bunch of cry faces here. Which you have never been. Cry face, cry face, cry face, cry face. Commuters don't count. Get a residency or stop lying, or stop your lying wife. So, listeners, Suzanne is claiming here that anything that might be on your profile that's outdated, she is accusing my wife in this case of being a liar. And yeah, there is some truth of it. My wife used to live in New York. She just didn't get around to changing it. It's been 2 decades, but nonetheless, we do live in New Jersey, and in no way is it a secret. And New Jersey's not crappy. Ciao, ciao, ciao. All right, yesterday I replied to comments with an audio recording, and I made an organizational error. I bunched together comments of people I don't know on Nextdoor with someone I do know who is trolling me, and with the intent to hurt. In other words, they just weren't fun like comments, like the Nextdoor comments. They were